Some may say he's always wanted more P's than he ever wanted Q's. Some may also say that grime was merely just his garden and the culture became home sweet home. I just say, enter the GOAT. Welcome everybody. This is the B.A.R.S. Yes, people, what's good? What's cracking? Well, you're not saying it's your boy Tubby, and welcome back to the B.A.R.S, the best album review show, where I'll be talking about all the music, all the albums, and all the artists that have completely inspired me on my musical journey, and hopefully, maybe, possibly, it can inspire one of you. This album here is one that changed the universe, the world, the culture, the country, the game. This album right here, for me, is one of the best, if not the best grime album, or the best grime artist to create a big body of work in its earlier prime years of the grime genre. I know I said Dizzy Rascal transcended the grime genre to new heights, to dizzy heights. Dizzy Rascal transcended the game to dizzy heights. I like that. Keep that one in. An artist then followed up very, very, very strongly, incredibly, and I felt turned an artist from the grime culture into a world-renowned, fully molded, incredible force to be reckoned with. So if you don't know this album right here, then one of the GOATs, Mr. K.A.N.O. Home Sweet Home. Fam, let me tell you something about this album. Kano, for me, personifies the brother that comes from the bits, that didn't particularly want to go that way, but could have easily gone that way, but found a way to stay focused. So he understands the road life, but he also understands the academic life, but he also understands the culture life. Understanding of the road and his roots and where he comes from, his foundation, his spirituality, just his thought process on what life really means. All of these things come into play on this album, including the features on this album as well. The features, the production, just everything you put together on this album, I think it's just absolutely immense. From the front cover for me just radiates what this album's gonna be all about. Home Sweet Home came out in 2005. The Home Sweet Home pamphlet for me, from 2005 up until today, Hoodies All Summer, his album, his latest album, yeah. Kano has set his foundation, fam. He has set his foundation of the type of brother that he is, and you can interpret that through all of his music, from this very album up until his latest, where his mindset is as a young man from the UK that grew up on the council estate. The relatability of this guy's lyricism and beat choice and delivery in his music, bruv, it's just second to none. This album really showed the true artistry of Kano, because he went from being a grime artist to really producing some massive, massive bangers, like massive club bangers, massive radio bangers, and all of them managed to be relatable. None of them ever sounded poppy, to me, in my point of view. All of them were very relatable, but still very Kano, and yet still very chartable. That's the thing with Kano. I think he really knew how to create his formula that keeps him true to what he loves, but yet very viable and just out there enough for everybody to be accepting of him, so to speak. He was an amazing example of that. And I think that goes to show why he's secured so much longevity in his career, because he really knows how to perfect he's really learned how to perfect his formula. And that's something that should be highly, highly respected by any artist in general, let alone the ones that are coming up, to understand that artistry and writing and the way you produce yourself is very, very important. But also keeping true to yourself is even more important. But finding a way to bring that across takes real craft, man. Real craftsmanship. It's so lit, fam. First page, yeah, boom. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the artwork, bro. Straight away you know what this album's going to be about, big man. Home Sweet Home, the ends, first single, or the first picture in here is the song Ghetto Kid, with obviously featuring the man himself, GHETTNO, of course. But the picture is them in front of a whip, back in the day, back in the ends. The next picture, boom, is P's and Q's, which you can see here, which is him in the whip, on the way to collect his P's and Q's. You get me? You already know what it is if you know what it is. The next one is Reloaded. If you look at the picture for Reloaded, fam, man's on a set, young kid on a set where it all started, where you get your first reload. That's how you earn your grime stripes, bruv. When you get a reload consistently in a few different raves or in a few different sets, that's when you start to understand and really rate yourself. Because you don't get a reload unless the fans and the crowd wanted you to get a reload, fam. And if you keep going through the pamphlets, you'll see the difference in the pictures. Like, sometimes it's a very self-reflective song, and you'll see him looking in the mirror, fam, as a young kid. It's a very reflective tune if you listen to it. Night Night, look at the phone, big man. Look at the phone. Bro, that's a 50, not that, bro, I swear that's a 5410, a 5410. 54? Not a 52. This is the 54 when they started the new face and the double button in the middle, and I'm sure, bruv. But a 61, was it this? Bare old school phones, bruv, but I know it wasn't a 32. I know it wasn't a 3210, bro. You keep on going throughout the pamphlet, fam. You keep on going, fam, and then you see how we living. Bro. You see that? They're at the morgue, fam. You know what I'm saying? Reflection about how we living in the ends. We go from being a ghetto kid, try grabbing our P's and Q's, and then we go to a set, try to get a reload, so we reload it. Boom, make sure the mic's on, so we have to make sure we got the mic check. And then sometimes we go home, and sometimes we just reflect on what just happened on the night before. And boom, we gotta go straight to our 9 to 5. When we get home, before we get up and go to work, we gotta say night to the babes. Do you understand? We gotta say night to the babes. And then we see her in the morning just to take a good look at her brown eyes. Fam, the whole thing all makes sense of a regular, degular kid from the ends that's trying to do something with their life, bro. The reason why it means so much to me, because I was that kid. I was that guy. I was that individual that grew up with so many older brothers that took a wrong path in life. I was surrounded by it. I was surrounded by violence, drugs, gangsters, the fights. I was always surrounded by it. And I could have very easily strayed into that lane. But music was my thing, fam. Basketball and music was my thing. And I refused to see my Marjay cry. I refused to upset my fam. I actually refused to do it, fam. But I could have very easily went down that road. And you know what? I'm one of thousands of the UK. I'm one of thousands. This is why this album was so important to the culture and to young black kids like me, fam. It was just so important. And if you haven't genuinely taken the time to go back and listen to the messages throughout all of Kano's songs that he's ever put out on an album, the message is very, very apparent. And if you don't hear it, you gotta listen. You gotta listen loud. You know, I don't want to listen loud. I'm not clear, you know. Man's gotta listen loud. Man sound like a poet, everybody. You get me? I always go to the shout outs, and what I loved about this album, man, is just it was so relatable to me only because he says things that I would have said. So the first line in his shout outs is Bob. First, let me say thank you to my mum for your support throughout these 20 years. I'm gonna start paying rent soon. I swear. Bro, I would have said the same thing, bro. Also as well, on this album, bro, there are some undeniable producers, grime legends, that today we don't give enough flowers. One of them being probably my favourite grime producer growing up. Yeah, there's a man called Da Vinci. And Da Vinci actually produced P's and Q's, one of the biggest grime anthems of all time. Da Vinci needs so much more credit. He's one of the coldest, if not the coldest, grime producer ever. Like, genuinely ever. So of course, on this album, you got major features. Grime legends all over this album, fam. D-double-E. I don't even have to say anymore. Standout tracks on that album. P's and Q's. Obviously. Major. That's it. It's just everything. It's just a grime anthem, innit? Typical Me. Tune. Typical me. One of those raves. Typical beef. Again, sick. Signs in Life. That came out so much more later though. But that was a single I think that should have got bare more love, you know. There's a lot of signs in life. Something that you make, bruv. Crazy. My number one pick. Listen, on the last couple of albums this has happened. But my number one pick on this album, for me, hit me by surprise. The reason why it became my number one tune is because it hit me by surprise. This is a tune I didn't expect to hear Kano on so quickly and so early from the jump on this album. He really shows how diverse he is with the pen. He is the king of the skippiest flows. He's the king of it. He's the guy that made it cool, bruv, to be soft and skippy and intricate with the way you write and the way you put words and syllables together. The way he switches up his flow throughout a song is impeccable, fam. And he does it so effortlessly. It's just ease for him. Do you get me? And he really executed that and showed the world that, bruh, man really is an artist. Man's really a writer. Like, music really is my life. And he done that from the opening track, Home Sweet Home. Home Sweet Home, I didn't even listen to the rest of the album, fam. I didn't even listen to the rest of the album for a time because of this one tune. That got reloaded like this was a single CD, fam. It weren't an album. Because that tune there, so my number one pick, opening track, Home Sweet Home. It is Amanda's. Produced by Mikey J. Bruv, this is one of the first times I've ever heard of your productions, bro. Or ever heard anything. And if you ever do watch it, just know.
I never fed my flow, so my dough grows, like Pinocchio's nose, they really don't know, most these hitters won't blow, so don't pose, it's like nasty and East Coast, I say that cause my nigga D, no one like D, road looks, oh, he's cold, these little East roads, home, sweet home, I speak slow, I just go where I need to go, but if you don't know K.A., you don't know, and if you ain't on point, then you don't know. I love the road, the tarmac, the white lines, the double ghettos, the zigzags and the bright lights. I hate being in the limelight, but I love being on the page or on the stage at prime time. I'm having fun, so time flies.
So boom, the album on the bars today was none other than Mr. K.A. Do I Play? N.O. Home Sweet Home. This album is definitely 100% an album you need to have in your grime collection and your CD collection, point blank, period. If you want to know what grime is, if you want to know what lyricism is, if you want to understand what the pen means, the power of the pen, the deepness of the ink, if you want to know what that means, big man, you need to own this CD. Let me take my clothes off. Take this off so you can understand me, fam. Kano personifies artistry, being a grime MC and understanding how to transcend grime to a different height, trying to understand how it is to be yourself whilst doing other genres of music, whilst perfecting your formula, whilst keeping true to yourself, whilst telling a story, whilst showing the world you can be more than just what the world expects you to be, fam. This guy and this album personifies all of that. It sparked the careers of some of the greatest grime MCs the country has ever seen. If you feel you're an artist, if you feel you're a rapper and you think you're an MC and you think you're a rapper and you don't have this and you don't know this tape, I don't know where you did them, my youth. You have to go learn something else, because them things, they cannot run, everybody. Them can't run. So boom, there you have it. This week's episode of the Big Album Review Show. Thank you all for tuning in. Super, super appreciated. I hope you guys are enjoying. Thank you for all the great feedback. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, and tell a friend to tell a friend. And I hope to see you lot soon. Love, peace, and chicken grease.